The Festival of Strong Bonds was the most important celebration on Velka Prime. It happened once every 3 years to honor alliances between different warrior clans. This year, for the first time, War Chief Thrak had invited the human embassy to participate. Ambassador Tae-ho Kim saw it as a breakthrough moment that could change everything between humans and Velkans. The festival took place in the Great Arena, a massive stone structure that could hold 50,000 Velkans. Ancient warrior ceremonies would be performed, alliance oaths would be renewed, and the strongest warriors would compete in combat games. Having humans participate meant the Velkans were finally accepting them as worthy allies. Kim stood in his embassy office adjusting his formal diplomatic uniform. The blue and gold colors looked strange against the gray stone walls, but Sojin Park had assured him that blue was a color Velkans associated with trustworthiness and strength. "Ambassador, the escort is here," Security Chief Dongwoo Lee announced from the doorway. His face was more serious than usual, and Kim noticed he was wearing full combat armor under his dress uniform. "You seem worried, Chief Lee," Kim said, fastening the ceremonial laser pistol to his belt. The weapon had belonged to a war hero and was meant to show that humans understood the value of strength in battle. "I do not like crowds, sir. Too many variables, too many places for trouble to hide. My security team will stay close, but in that arena, we will be surrounded by thousands of Velkan warriors." Cultural attaché Sojin Park entered carrying a datapad with the ceremony schedule. "Ambassador, I have reviewed the program 3 times. Your speech comes after the clan alliance renewals but before the combat demonstrations. You will have exactly 5 minutes to speak. Remember, keep it short and strong. Velkans do not like long speeches." Kim nodded. He had practiced the speech many times. It was designed to honor Velkan strength while showing that humans could be valuable allies. The key message was simple. Strong species should work together. Instead of fighting each other, the escort outside consisted of 12 Velkan warriors in full ceremonial armor. Their leader was Commander Vex, one of War Chief Thrak's most trusted officers. He was tall even for a Velkan, with intricate scars covering his arms and face that told stories of many battles won. "Ambassador Kim," Vex said in his deep voice, "War Chief Thrak is honored that you will speak at our festival. Your words will be heard by representatives from every clan on Velka Prime. This is a great honor for your species." The human delegation walked through the city streets toward the great arena. Thousands of Velkans lined the route, watching silently as the humans passed. Most showed neutral curiosity, but Kim noticed small groups of young warriors who watched, with obvious hostility. Some made gestures that Sojin had taught him were Velkan insults. "Those are Brutus's followers," Lee whispered, nodding toward a group of particularly hostile-looking young Velkans. "Intelligence reports say his pure strength faction has been growing." The great arena was magnificent and terrifying at the same time. Ancient stone walls rose into the sky like a mountain. Carved into the walls were scenes of great battles from Velkan history. The arena floor was covered with sand that had been stained dark red from thousands of years of combat. Chief Thrak sat on a throne made from the skull of some massive creature. His ceremonial armor gleamed with metal and jewels, and his sword lay across his knees like a promise of violence. Around him sat the leaders of the major Velkan clans, all watching the humans with predator eyes. "Welcome, Ambassador Kim," Thrak called out as the human delegation approached. "Today you speak to the assembled strength of Velka Prime. Show us that humans deserve the honor we give you." Kim bowed respectfully and took his place in the speaker's area. The arena was packed with Velkans from every clan and warrior family. Their voices created a low rumble like distant thunder. In the VIP section, Kim could see diplomatic representatives from other alien species who had come to watch this historic moment. The ceremony began with traditional Velkan war chants that made the stone walls vibrate. Warriors performed battle dances with real weapons, moving so fast the blades were just silver blurs in the air. Clan leaders renewed their alliance oaths by mixing their blood in ancient cups and drinking together. Finally, it was time for Kim's speech. The arena fell silent as he walked to the center of the sand-covered floor. 50,000 Velkan warriors watched him, waiting to see if the human would prove worthy of respect or show the weakness they expected. Kim activated the arena's amplification system so his voice would carry to every seat. He stood straight and spoke in the strong, clear tone Sojin had taught him. "Warriors of Velka Prime," he began. "I stand before you as ambassador of Earth, speaking for all humanity. We come to you not as supplicants begging for mercy, but as allies offering strength." A murmur went through the crowd. This was not the humble, apologetic speech many had expected from humans. "Our species have both fought our way from weak beginnings to rule among the stars," Kim continued. "Velkans conquered through strength of arm and courage in battle. Humans conquered through unity and the strength that comes from working together. Both paths require courage. Both paths require sacrifice." The murmur grew louder, but Kim could not tell if it was approval or anger. "I propose that our species, both strong in our own ways, should stand together. The galaxy is large enough for warriors and diplomats, for the strength of the sword and the strength of the mind. Together, we can build something greater than either could achieve alone." Kim raised the ceremonial laser pistol above his head. This weapon belonged to General Martinez, who died fighting for human freedom. Like your warriors, he chose death before dishonor. Like your warriors, he understood that some things are worth fighting for. This is the gift of one warrior people to another. For a moment, the arena was completely silent. Then War Chief Thrak stood and began to clap slowly. The sound echoed off the stone walls like thunder. One by one, other clan leaders joined in. Soon the entire arena was filled with the sound of 50,000 Velkans showing approval. Kim felt a moment of triumph. The speech had worked. The ceremony was a success. The alliance between humans and Velkans was stronger than ever. Then everything went wrong. Brutus, War Chief Thrak's son, leaped from the VIP section onto the arena floor. He was magnificent and terrible, wearing black armor that seemed to absorb light. His sword was already in his hand as he landed in the sand just 20 feet from Kim. "No," Brutus shouted, his voice carrying easily through the arena's amplification system. "This is not strength. This is the weakness of words trying to replace the honor of battle." Security Chief Lee was moving before Brutus finished speaking, but the young Velkan was faster. Brutus covered the distance to Kim in 3 quick steps, his sword reflecting the arena lights like captured lightning. "You want to be our allies?" Brutus snarled, grabbing Kim by the shoulder. "Then die like a warrior instead of living like a coward." Kim tried to draw his ceremonial pistol, but Brutus was too fast and too strong. The Velkan warrior forced Kim to his knees in front of the entire arena. The crowd's cheering turned to confused shouts as they realized this was not part of the ceremony. "Look at him," Brutus called out, his voice now amplified across the arena. "See how the human kneels. This is their strength. This is their honor." Lee reached them then, his own weapon drawn, but 3 more young Velkans dropped from the stands to block his path. They were all part of Brutus's faction, all ready to die for their leader's vision of Velkan purity. "Stand down, Brutus," War Chief Thrak commanded from his throne, but his son ignored him. The old war chief started to rise, but other young warriors in the crowd were on their feet too, cheering for Brutus. "The age of weakness is over," Brutus declared. "The age of pure strength begins now." Kim looked up at the young Velkan warrior and saw death in those yellow eyes. But he also saw something else. Uncertainty. Brutus wanted to be a hero to his people, but he was not sure if killing an unarmed diplomat would make him look strong or dishonorable. "If you kill me," Kim said, quietly speaking directly to Brutus, "you will start a war that will destroy your people. Is that the legacy you want?" Brutus hesitated for just a moment. In that moment, Kim thought he might survive. Then Lee broke through the blocking warriors and charged toward them. The sight of the human security chief drawing a weapon made Brutus's decision easy. In Velkan culture, combat between warriors was always honorable. "Your guard draws a weapon," Brutus shouted to the crowd. "Now we have a fair fight." The sword took Kim in the chest before Lee could reach them. The blade was so sharp Kim barely felt it at first. Then the pain hit him like fire, and he fell. Forward onto the red sand. Lee's pistol fired 3 times. But Brutus rolled away from each shot with the fluid grace of a perfect warrior. More young Velkans poured onto the arena floor. Within seconds, the ceremony had become a battlefield. Kim lay on his side, watching his blood soak into sand that had absorbed the blood of countless warriors before him. Through the pain, he could hear weapons fire and the sounds of combat spreading through the arena. He tried to speak into his communication device, but his voice would not work. The last thing he saw clearly was War Chief Thrak standing on his throne, bellowing orders that no one was following. 6 months had passed since the human embassy opened on Velka Prime. Ambassador Tae-ho Kim stood in his office, looking out at the busy street below. The embassy building was in the trade district, where aliens from different worlds came to do business. It was not the most honored location, but it was practical. The building itself was strong and simple, 3 floors of gray stone with narrow windows, built to match Velkan architecture. The first floor had meeting rooms and offices for trade discussions. The second floor housed Kim's staff and their living quarters. The third floor was for communications and security systems. It was not beautiful, but it was functional and safe. Dr. Hyun-woo Nam, the embassy's medical officer, knocked on Kim's door. "Ambassador, I have the monthly health reports ready. Also, there was another incident this morning." Kim turned from the window. "What kind of incident?" 3 human traders were stopped by young Velkan warriors near the spaceport. The Velkans demanded to see their trading permits, then made them wait in the sun for 2 hours while they checked the documents. The permits were perfectly legal, but the Velkans seemed to enjoy making our people wait. This was becoming a pattern. Young Velkans, especially those from warrior families, liked to test humans. They would find small reasons to delay human traders, question human visitors, or challenge humans to contests they knew humans would lose. It was not illegal, but it was meant to embarrass humans in front of other aliens. "Were any of our people hurt?" Kim asked. No physical harm, but Trader Jinwoo was clearly frustrated. He said the young Velkans kept making comments about weak humans loud enough for everyone to hear. Other alien traders saw the whole thing. Kim sighed. These small incidents were worse than direct attacks. They made humans look weak without giving Earth any reason to complain officially. War Chief Thrak was too smart to allow serious crimes against humans, but he seemed to enjoy letting his warriors have fun at human expense. "How is our security holding up?" Kim asked. Security Chief Lee is worried. He says the young warriors are testing us, seeing how we react. Some of them walk by the embassy every day, just staring at our guards. They are not threatening exactly, but they are not friendly either. Cultural Attaché Sojin Park entered the office carrying a datapad full of reports. "Ambassador, I have been studying the incident patterns. The harassment is not random. It follows Velkan social customs about testing new groups." "Explain," Kim said, sitting behind his desk. So-Jin activated her datapad and showed Kim a cultural analysis chart. In Velkan society, when a new group tries to join their community, they test them constantly for the first year. They push boundaries to see how the new group reacts. If the new group fights back effectively, they earn respect. If they submit or complain to authorities, they are marked as weak forever. Kim studied the chart. "So these incidents will continue for 6 more months, at least, and they will get worse before they get better. The young warriors are just testing us now. Soon they will try bigger challenges." Dr. Nam looked concerned. "What kind of bigger challenges?" "Physical contests, probably. Arm wrestling, fighting competitions, tests of courage. They will make these challenges public and expect our people to participate. If we refuse, we look cowardly. If we participate and lose, we look weak." Kim rubbed his forehead. This was exactly the kind of problem Earth's diplomatic training had not prepared him for. Human diplomacy was based on calm discussion and finding solutions that worked for everyone. Velkan diplomacy seemed to be based on proving who was stronger. "Sir," Deputy Diplomat Aaron Jung entered the office. She was young but had shown real skill in the trade negotiations that were the embassy's main success so far. "The morning trade meeting went well. We finalized the steel shipment contract with the Outer Colonies Mining Guild. But there was something strange." "What happened?" 2 of War Chief Thrak's senior advisors attended the meeting. They did not say much, but they watched everything. When we discussed human manufacturing capabilities, they seemed very interested in our production numbers. So-Jin looked up from her datapad. That could be significant. Velkans usually do not care about manufacturing details. They respect warriors, not factory workers. If they are suddenly interested in human industrial capacity, they might be wondering if we are stronger than we appear. Kim finished the thought. Good. Let them wonder. The embassy's communication system chimed with an incoming message from Earth. Kim activated the secure channel and Admiral Soo-Jin Choi's face appeared on the screen. She was the head of the human defense fleet and one of the few military officers Kim trusted completely. Ambassador Kim, I'm calling with an update on fleet positions. We have moved the 3rd Squadron closer to Velkan space, just outside the neutral zone. This is a routine patrol adjustment, but I wanted you to know in case the Velkans ask questions. Kim nodded. Are you expecting trouble, Admiral? No immediate threats, but our intelligence people are seeing some concerning patterns. Young Velkan warriors have been asking unusual questions about human military capabilities. They seem to think humans are weak because we prefer diplomatic solutions to our problems. They are not entirely wrong, Kim said. Humans do prefer peace when possible. Admiral Choi's expression was serious. Ambassador, there is something you should know. The 3rd Squadron is not just any patrol fleet. It includes some of our newest ships with our most advanced weapons. If the Velkans decide to test human military strength, they will get a surprise. After ending the communication with Admiral Choi, Kim called his senior staff together for their weekly security meeting. Security Chief Dongwoo Lee entered first, followed by So-Jin, Dr. Nam, and Aaron. They gathered around the conference table in Kim's office. I want honest assessments from everyone, Kim said. How are we doing after 6 months? Lee spoke first. Security situation is manageable, but getting worse. My guards report at least 3 incidents per week now. Young Velkans challenging our people to fights, making insulting comments, following human visitors around the city. Nothing violent yet, but the pressure is building. My medical reports show increased stress among our staff, Dr. Nam added. People are sleeping poorly, eating less. The constant tension is wearing everyone down. I recommend rotating some staff back to Earth for rest. Aaron shook her head. The trade negotiations are going too well to risk changing personnel now. We have 3 major contracts nearly complete. If we succeed, it will prove humans can be valuable partners to the Velkans. So-Jin looked at her cultural analysis reports. The trade success might actually be making things worse. Young Velkans respect warriors, not merchants. The more successful our trade missions become, the more they see us as weak people who hide behind money instead of fighting for what we want. Kim listened to each report carefully. The picture was complex. The embassy was succeeding in its main mission of building trade relationships and proving human reliability. But this success was creating new problems with young Velkans who saw trade as a sign of weakness. There is something else, Lee said quietly. My intelligence contacts on Earth sent me information about War Chief Thrak's son, Brutus. He has been holding private meetings with young warrior leaders. They call themselves the Pure Strength faction. They believe Thrak is getting too old and too willing to work with weak species like humans. Kim felt a chill. Political divisions within the Velkan leadership could be very dangerous for the embassy. What do we know about this Brutus? He is everything his father is, but worse. Younger, angrier, more violent. He has killed 12 enemies in personal combat and has never lost a fight. The young warriors worship him. If he decides humans are enemies instead of just weak allies, he could cause serious problems. Kim finished. So-Jin nodded. In Velkan culture, a war chief's son must prove he is worthy to inherit leadership. Usually this means winning battles against other alien species. But if Brutus sees humans as an easier target. The meeting ended with everyone understanding that the next few months would be critical. The embassy had to continue succeeding in trade while somehow earning the respect of young Velkan warriors who only understood strength and violence. That evening, Kim stood again at his office window, watching the alien city outside. Velkan warriors patrolled the streets in groups, their weapons gleaming in the light from the street lamps. In the distance, he could see the massive fortress where War Chief Thrak ruled his warrior empire. Earth was counting on this embassy to succeed. 40 years of patient diplomacy had led to this moment. If the embassy failed, humans might never get another chance to join the Galactic Council. Other alien species were watching to see if humans could handle the Velkans. One of the galaxy's most difficult cultures, Kim activated his personal communication system and composed his monthly report to Earth. He chose his words carefully, explaining the challenges without causing panic among the Earth leadership. Embassy operations continue successfully, he wrote. Trade relationships are developing as planned. Cultural integration proceeding within expected parameters. Some minor incidents with young Velkan warriors, but these appear to be normal testing. Behavior rather than serious hostility. Recommend continued patience and diplomatic approach. Personal assessment. The news of Ambassador Kim's assassination reached Earth 3 days after the massacre at the Festival of Strong Bonds. President Haiwan Ko received the report in her private office at the United Earth Government headquarters. She read it twice, then set the datapad down on her desk with hands that shook slightly with controlled rage. General Insu Baek stood at attention before her desk, his military uniform crisp despite the early hour. Intelligence Director Kyung-ho Ro sat in a chair nearby, his face showing the exhaustion of a man who had not slept since the first reports came in. Tell me exactly what happened, President Ko said. Her voice carefully controlled. Director Ro activated his datapad and read from his intelligence summary. Ambassador Kim was invited to speak at their most important cultural ceremony. He gave a speech about cooperation between species. War Chief Thrak's son, Brutus, interrupted the ceremony and killed Kim in front of 50,000 witnesses. Security Chief Lee and 4 other staff members died trying to protect the ambassador. 3 staff members are still alive but being held prisoner. And War Chief Thrak? The president asked. He claims he tried to stop his son, but the arena erupted into chaos. Brutus escaped with several hundred followers. Thrak says he cannot guarantee the safety of humans on Velka Prime anymore. President Ko stood and walked to the window overlooking the city. New Geneva stretched out below her, peaceful and prosperous. It was hard to believe that somewhere among the stars, human diplomats had been butchered like animals. What is the galactic reaction, she asked. Mixed, Director Ro replied. The Centauri Federation expressed sympathy, but said this proves humans are too weak for dangerous diplomatic assignments. The Andorian Republic suggested we should have known better than to trust the Velkans. The Trade Guild is nervous about their contracts with human companies. General Beck spoke for the first time. Madam President, the Joint Chiefs have prepared several response options for your consideration. President Ko turned from the window. I assume these options involve military action? Some do. We could send a small punitive force to rescue our surviving people. We could impose a military blockade on Velkan space until they turn over Brutus and his followers. Or we could launch a full invasion to remove War Chief Thrak and install a more cooperative government. And what do you recommend, General? Beck was quiet for a moment. Honestly, Madam President, I recommend we wait. The Velkans are expecting us to react with military force. They want us to prove we are as violent as they are. If we attack them, we become just another warrior species fighting for territory. President Ko nodded slowly. Director Ro, what does intelligence say about Velkan military capabilities? They are strong in individual combat and planetary defense, but weak in space warfare. Their ships are old and designed for close combat rather than modern fleet actions. We could defeat them, but it would be bloody on both sides. Casualties? For a full invasion? Probably 50,000 human military losses and maybe 500,000 Velkan deaths. The galaxy would see us as conquerors, not peacekeepers. President Ko returned to her desk and sat down. She had been elected on a platform of peaceful expansion and cooperation with alien species. But she had also sworn to protect human lives and interests. Ambassador Kim had been her personal friend for 20 years. Gentlemen, I want you to leave me alone for 1 hour. Then we will reconvene, and I will give you my decision. After they left, President Ko activated her secure communication system and placed calls to key leaders around Earth and its colonies. She spoke with the Prime Minister of Mars, the Governor of the Europa colony, and the Admiral of the Fleet. Each conversation was brief and private. Finally, she called Admiral Young Sik Han, commander of the Pacific Fleet. His weathered face appeared on her screen from the bridge of his flagship. Admiral Han, I need a straight answer from a soldier I trust. Can we rescue our people on Velka Prime? Yes, Madam President, but not with a small force. The Velkans will be expecting a rescue attempt and will have our people heavily guarded. Any rescue operation would have to be part of a larger invasion. And if we invade? Admiral Han was quiet for a moment. We would win, but at a terrible cost. And the galaxy would never trust us again. Every alien species would see us as another warrior race that solves problems with violence. What would you do, Admiral? I would show them what human strength really looks like. Not the quick anger of warriors, but the cold patience of hunters. Make them wait, make them worry. Let them think about what they have done while we decide what we are going to do about it. When General Bayek and Director Rowe returned, they found President Ko writing at her desk. She looked up as they entered, and both men noticed that her expression had changed. The grief and anger were still there, but now there was something else, something that made them both slightly nervous. Gentlemen, here is what we are going to do, she said, setting down her pen. First, we are going to recall every human diplomat from non-allied worlds. Every trade mission, every cultural exchange, every human representative dealing with species that are not our confirmed allies will return to human space immediately. Director Rowe looked confused. Madam President, that will end dozens of important negotiations. We will lose trade contracts worth billions of credits. Second, President Ko continued as if he had not spoken. We are suspending all non-essential trade with alien species. Human merchant ships will return to human ports. Human manufacturers will focus on human markets. Human banks will stop processing alien financial transactions. General Bayek frowned. That will cause economic chaos across the galaxy. Half the trade routes depend on human shipping companies. Third, I am authorizing Fleet Admiral Young Sik Han to begin training exercises throughout human space. These exercises will involve all available ships and personnel. They will continue until further notice. Both men stared at her. Director Rowe found his voice first. Madam President, what exactly are you planning? President Ko stood and walked to a wall display showing a map of known space. Human territory was marked in blue, taking up a significant portion of the galaxy's trade routes and industrial systems. I am planning to send a message, Director. For 40 years, we have tried to join the galactic community through patience and cooperation. We have traded fairly, helped in crises, and tried to be good neighbors. And how were we rewarded? Our ambassador was murdered in front of thousands of witnesses, and the killers were allowed to escape. She turned to face them both. The galaxy thinks humans are weak because we prefer diplomacy to violence. They are about to learn the difference between choosing peace and being incapable of war. What about our people still being held prisoner? On Velka Prime, General Beck asked. We are going to get them back, but first we are going to send a new ambassador to the Galactic Council. Who? Director Rowe asked. Ambassador Da-Som Kang. She has instructions to deliver a very simple message to the assembled alien species. President Ko activated her communication system and showed them the message she had prepared. It was only 2 sentences long, but both men understood immediately what it meant. Madam President, General Bayek said quietly, if you send that message, there will be no turning back. Good, President Ko replied. I am tired of turning the other cheek. 3 days later, Ambassador Da-Som Kang stood before the Galactic Council on the space station Harmony Station. Representatives from 47 different alien species watched as she walked to the speaker's platform. Many of them expected an emotional speech about justice and cooperation. Instead, Ambassador Kang simply read President Ko's message in a calm, clear voice. The government of Earth demands the immediate return of our surviving diplomatic staff and the body of Ambassador Kim, along with all individuals responsible for his murder. You have 72 hours to comply. The chamber erupted in surprised chatter. The Centauri representative stood up immediately. Ambassador Kang, surely you do not mean to threaten the Velkan Empire? What will Earth do if your demands are not met? Ambassador Kang looked directly at the Centauri representative, then slowly surveyed the entire chamber. When she spoke, her voice carried clearly to every seat. Find out. She turned and walked out of the chamber without another word. Across the galaxy, alien intelligence agencies tried desperately to understand what was happening in human space. Massive fleets were moving into formation, but their destinations were unclear. Human trade ships were disappearing from alien ports, but no one knew where they were going. Human diplomatic missions were closing, but the humans would not explain why War-Chief Thrak received reports from his own intelligence officers about unusual human military activity. His advisors assured him that humans would never risk war with the Velkans over one dead diplomat. Humans were traitors and talkers, not warriors. Brutus, hiding in the mountains with his followers, laughed when he heard about the 72-hour deadline. Let them come, he told his warriors. We will show the galaxy what happens when weak species try to threaten the strong. On the third day, exactly 72 hours after Ambassador Kang delivered her message, the deadline expired. The Velkans had made no attempt to meet Earth's demands. Ambassador Kim's body remained unburied on Velka Prime. The surviving embassy staff were still prisoners. The stars looked different from the bridge of the Harmony's edge. Ambassador Tae-ho Kim stood at the large window, watching the Velkan system grow larger. The diplomatic ship moved slowly through space, carrying hopes for peace between humans and one of the galaxy's most feared warrior races. Sir, we will reach Velka Prime in 2 hours, Captain Min Ho-yoon said behind him. The captain was a good man who had spent 30 years flying between the stars. His voice was calm, but Kim could hear the worry underneath. Kim turned around. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Thank you, Captain. Are our people ready? Yes, sir. Cultural Attaché Sojin Park has been studying their language files all night. Security Chief Dong-Woo Lee has checked our security systems 3 times. Everyone knows this mission matters. Kim nodded. This was not just another diplomatic meeting. For 40 years, humans had tried to join the Galactic Council. Most alien races thought humans were too weak, too soft. They said humans cared too much about feelings and not enough about strength. The Velkans were the worst about this. They were warriors who respected only power and combat skill. But things had started to change. Human traders had proven they were honest in business. Human doctors had saved alien lives during the plague on Centauri 7. Human engineers had helped rebuild worlds after natural disasters. Slowly, some aliens began to see that strength came in many forms. The Velkans were different. They lived by a simple rule: the strong survive, the weak die. Their society was built on combat and honor in battle. They had fought wars with 3 different alien races in the past 50 years. When they won, they took prisoners as slaves. When they lost, they fought to the death rather than surrender. War-Chief Thrak ruled the Velkans from his fortress on Velka Prime. He was old but still deadly, with scars covering his dark skin and metal teeth that gleamed when he smiled. Intel reports said he had killed over 200 enemies in personal combat. He did not like humans, but he respected their growing power in trade and technology. Ambassador Sojin Park walked onto the bridge. She was young for a diplomat, only 32, but she knew more about alien cultures than anyone in the human fleet. I have been reading the latest reports about Velkan customs. There are some things you need to know before we land. Kim sat in his chair. Tell me. The Velkans have very strict rules about respect. When you meet War Chief Thrak, you must not look away first. If you do, he will think you are weak. You must stand straight and speak in a strong voice. Do not smile unless he smiles first. They think smiling shows fear. What about gifts? Kim asked. The Earth Council sent ceremonial weapons. So Jin shook her head. That was smart. Velkans respect weapons, but only if they are real weapons that have seen battle. The laser pistol you are carrying belonged to General Martinez during the Mars Rebellion. It has killed enemies. They will respect that. Captain Yoon looked concerned. Ambassador, are you sure about this? The Velkans have never allowed an alien embassy on their homeworld. Some of our intelligence people think this might be a trap. Kim understood the captain's worry. 3 human trade ships had disappeared near Velkan space in the past 5 years. The Velkans claimed pirates had killed them, but many humans thought the Velkans were lying. Still, this was their chance to prove humans deserved respect in the galaxy. We have to try, Captain. If we succeed, humans will finally have a voice on the Galactic Council. If we fail? Kim did not finish the sentence. Everyone knew what failure would mean. Security Chief Dongwoo Lee entered the bridge. He was a big man who had fought in the border wars before becoming a diplomat's guard. His face was serious as always. Sir, I have run final checks on all our equipment. The embassy building supplies are ready. The defense systems are working. My security team knows their jobs. How many security people do we have? Kim asked. 12 trained guards plus myself, all armed with standard weapons. The Velkans said we could bring weapons for protection, but nothing too heavy. No military armor or assault rifles. Kim frowned. That is not very many people to protect an entire embassy. Lee nodded. I know, sir, but this is what the Velkans agreed to. More guards would make them think we do not trust them. That would be an insult. Through the window, Velka Prime was now visible as more than just a dot. It was a red-brown world with 2 moons. Cities covered much of the main continent, but these were not pretty cities like those on Earth. Velkan cities were built like fortresses with high walls and guard towers. Everything was made for war. Incoming message from Velka Prime, the communications officer said. War Chief Thrak wants to speak with the ambassador. Kim straightened his diplomatic uniform and walked to the communication station. The screen flickered and showed a face that made everyone on the bridge step back slightly. War Chief Thrak looked exactly like the intelligence photos, but seeing him in person was different. His eyes were yellow like a predator's. His skin was dark gray with ritual scars and complex patterns. When he opened his mouth to speak, metal teeth flashed in the light. Human ambassador. Thrak's voice was deep and rough. He spoke in accented but clear human language. I am War Chief Thrak, ruler of the Velkan Empire. You come to my world asking for an embassy. Why should I allow weak humans on the homeworld? Of warriors. Kim had practiced this moment many times. He stood straight and looked directly into Thrak's yellow eyes. War Chief Thrak, I am Ambassador Tae-ho Kim of Earth. I come not as a weak human, but as a representative of a species that has survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We have fought our way from one small world to the stars. We ask for an embassy because strong allies make both sides stronger. Thrak was quiet for a long moment. His eyes studied Kim's face, looking for signs of fear or weakness. Finally, the war chief's scarred lips pulled back in what might have been a smile. You speak well, human. We will see if your actions match your words. You may land at the capital city. My warriors will escort you to the place we have chosen for your embassy. Do not disappoint me. The screen went black. Captain Yoon let out a breath he had been holding. That went better than I expected. The hard part is just starting, Kim said. So-jin, Dongwoo, get our people ready. We are about to make history. An hour later, the shuttle carrying the human diplomatic team flew through Velka Prime's thick atmosphere. The capital city spread out below them like a giant fort. Massive walls surrounded districts full of dark stone buildings. Guard towers rose into the red sky like spears. Even from the air, they could see armed Velkan warriors patrolling the streets. The shuttle landed in a cleared area outside the city walls. Hundreds of Velkans had gathered to watch. They were all tall and muscular, with gray skin and yellow eyes. Many carried weapons, even though this was supposed to be a peaceful meeting. They watched the humans with the intense stare of predators, deciding whether something was prey or threat. War Chief Thrak waited with a group of his senior warriors. He was even more impressive in person, standing nearly 7 feet tall. His armor was made from the scales of some massive creature, and a sword longer than a human arm hung at his side. Kim walked down the shuttle ramp first, followed by his team. The crowd of Velkans was completely silent. In that silence, Kim could hear his own heartbeat and the soft whisper of wind across the alien landscape. "Welcome to Velka Prime, Ambassador Kim," Thrak said. His voice carried easily across the landing area. "Your embassy building is ready. My warriors will show you the way. Try not to disappoint me with human weakness." Kim bowed slightly, just enough to show respect without showing submission. "We will do our best to honor both our peoples, War Chief." And so began humanity's first embassy on the homeworld of one of the galaxy's most dangerous warrior races. The first ships appeared at the edge of Velkan space just as the 72-hour deadline expired. They were massive dreadnoughts, each one the size of a small city, their dark hulls absorbing light like hungry shadows. Behind them came cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels in formation so precise they looked like geometric patterns drawn across the stars. War dash. Chief Thrak stood on the observation deck of his orbital fortress, watching the sensor displays with growing disbelief. His military advisors clustered around him, their faces showing the same shock that was spreading across Velka Prime. "How many ships?" Thrak asked, his voice barely controlled. 2,847 combat vessels, his chief tactical advisor replied, reading from the scanner reports. "Plus approximately 400 support ships. We have never seen a fleet this large from any single species." "What about their capabilities?" "Unknown. The ships are using sensor screening technology we do not recognize. Our analysis computers cannot identify their weapon systems or defensive capabilities." Thrak studied the tactical display. The human fleet had arranged itself in a perfect sphere around Velka Prime, staying just outside the range of planetary defenses. It was a classic siege formation, designed to prevent any ships from leaving or entering the system. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we are receiving a transmission on all frequencies. It is being broadcast to the entire system." "Put it through." The main display screen activated, showing the bridge of a human warship. The human officer who appeared was clearly military, wearing a uniform that combined elegance with obvious functionality. Her face was calm, but her eyes held the cold patience of a predator. "I am Fleet Admiral Suk Jin Im of the United Earth Defense Force," she said, her voice carrying clearly across the channel. "I am addressing War Chief Thrak and all inhabitants of the Velkan system. You murdered our ambassador and hold our people prisoner. You have had 72 hours to correct this situation. You have chosen not to do so." Thrak stepped forward. "I am War Chief Thrak. My son acted without my permission. I cannot guarantee his capture or the return of your people." Admiral Im's expression did not change. "War Chief, your internal political problems are not our concern. You are the leader of your people. You are responsible for their actions. You have 1 hour to surrender all surviving human prisoners and the body of Ambassador Kim. You will also surrender your son Brutus and all individuals involved in the murder. And if I refuse, then we will come and take them." The transmission ended, leaving Thrak and his advisors staring at a blank screen. Around them, the orbital fortress was buzzing with activity as Velkan warriors prepared for battle. But looking at the sensor displays showing nearly 3,000 human warships, many began to wonder if preparation would be enough. On the planet below, Brutus watched the same broadcasts from his hidden mountain fortress. His followers, young, Velkan warriors who had believed in the superiority of their warrior culture, now seemed less confident as they studied the tactical reports. "How did the humans build such a fleet?" one of his lieutenants asked. "Our intelligence said they only had a few hundred warships scattered across their territory." Brutus studied the reports more carefully. The human fleet was not just large, it was organized with a precision that spoke of years of planning and preparation. These ships had not been gathered hastily in response to Kim's murder. This fleet had been built and trained for exactly this kind of operation. "They have been preparing for war while pretending to want peace," he said finally. "The humans are more cunning than we thought." "What do we do?" Brutus looked at his assembled warriors. These were the strongest young Velkans, each one capable, of defeating multiple enemies in personal combat. But looking at the reports of the human fleet, he realized for the first time that individual strength might not be enough. "We fight," he said, trying to project confidence he no longer felt. "We are Velkans. We do not surrender to anyone." The hour passed quickly. War Chief Thrak had used the time to consult with his clan leaders and military commanders. The consensus was clear. They could not win a direct battle against such a large human fleet. But they also could not surrender without losing all respect among other alien species. When Admiral Im's second transmission came, Thrak had made his decision. "Admiral Im, I am prepared to negotiate. Perhaps we can reach an agreement that satisfies both our peoples." Admiral Im's image appeared again on the main screen. This time she was not alone. Behind her stood other human officers, all wearing the same calm expression of people who had already made their decision. "War Chief Thrak, the time for negotiation ended when your son murdered our ambassador. We did not come here to bargain. We came here to collect what belongs to us and to punish those responsible for crimes against humanity. You cannot invade our homeworld over one dead diplomat. War Chief, you seem to misunderstand our position. We are not asking your permission." Around Velka Prime, the human fleet began to move. The massive dreadnoughts took up positions over key cities and military installations. Smaller ships swept through the orbital defenses, their weapon systems powering up with energy signatures that made Velkan sensors scream warnings. The first strikes came without warning. Precision energy beams lanced down from orbit, targeting military command centers, communications facilities, and weapon emplacements. The attacks were surgical in their accuracy, designed to cripple resistance without causing massive civilian casualties. Captain Ji-Wan Shin commanded the dreadnought. Ambassador's vengeance from her position in the fleet formation. Her ship's massive guns could have reduced entire cities to rubble, but her orders were specific. Disable military targets, minimize civilian casualties, and prepare for ground operations. "Captain," her tactical officer reported, "planetary defenses are down by 60%. Ground resistance is scattered and uncoordinated." "What about civilian areas?" "No collateral damage reported. Our targeting systems are working perfectly." Shin nodded. The human military had learned from studying other alien conflicts. Most warrior species like the Velkans expected invaders to be brutal and indiscriminate. By showing precise control, even during an invasion, the humans were sending a message about their true capabilities. "Begin ground operations," she ordered. "Tell Major Park his Marines are cleared for landing." Major Woojin Park led the first wave of human Marines down to Velka Prime's surface. Their landing shuttles were protected by fighter escorts and electronic warfare systems that blinded Velkan sensors. The Marines themselves wore powered armor that made them faster and stronger than even Velkan warriors. The first ground battle took place at the capital city's main military barracks. 200 Velkan warriors, led by one of War Chief Thrak's most experienced generals, had prepared defensive positions around the building where the human prisoners were being held. Major Park's Marines approached the barracks with careful precision. Unlike Velkan warriors who preferred direct assault, the humans used coordinated team tactics, advanced technology, and overwhelming firepower to achieve their objectives. "This is Major Park," he broadcast to the Velkan defenders. "You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender the human prisoners and no one else needs to die today." The Velkan general's response was predictable, a defiant roar and a charge toward the human positions. His warriors followed, believing that courage and individual skill would overcome the humans' technological advantages. They were wrong. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it ended, most of the Velkan warriors were dead or wounded, and the human prisoners were free. Major Park's Marines had suffered only minor injuries. Similar scenes played out across Velka Prime as human forces systematically dismantled the planet's military capacity. The Velkans fought bravely, but they were fighting an enemy that had planned for every contingency and prepared solutions for every problem. War Chief Thrak's fortress fell after a 6-hour siege. The old warrior was captured alive, along with most of his senior staff. Brutus's mountain hideout was located by human intelligence and destroyed in a precision orbital strike that left no survivors. Within 72 hours of the fleet's arrival, the invasion was complete. Velkan military forces were defeated. Their government was under human control, and every human prisoner had been recovered alive. But the most shocking moment came when Fleet Admiral Im addressed the assembled Galactic Council via long-range transmission. Representatives from 47 alien species watched as she stood on the steps of War Chief Thrak's former palace, with the captured Velkan leader kneeling beside her. "Members of the Galactic Council," she said, her voice carrying across the galaxy, "humanity has recovered our people and captured those responsible for Ambassador Kim's murder. War Chief Thrak and his surviving officers will be tried by human courts for crimes against humanity. The planet Velka Prime is now under human military administration." The Centauri representative found his voice first. "Admiral Im, surely you do not intend to occupy Velka Prime permanently? The galactic community cannot accept such aggression." Admiral Im's expression remained calm. "Representative, for 40 years humanity sought membership in your galactic community through peaceful means. We traded honestly, helped in crises, and tried to be good neighbors.